Hi, welcome back for another little tidbit about Mahjong. So, one of the most common questions that I get is, okay, I get dealt a hand of 13 tiles, unless you're the dealer where you start with 14. How do I figure out what I'm supposed to play? So I have a strategy that I teach to beginners, and it works well with beginners. And then as you play more, you'll develop your own way of sort of determining where you belong in the Mahjong card. If you don't already have a Mahjong card, I strongly recommend that you go on to the nationalmahjongleague.org and order one directly from them. They are a not-for-profit and they publish this card and they do lots of wonderful things. So let's get back to how do we determine our hand. The first thing that I say to beginners is that it's not the hand you're looking for. It's where your hand or where the tiles you've been dealt are directing you. You're very rarely dealt a specific hand where as soon as you see your tiles, you know, oh, I'm going to be doing this. What you're dealt is a direction. The Mahjong card is divided into 9 sections this year. Okay, I have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So I just grabbed 13 tiles, so I'm not the dealer. And once you get them, you rack them. Normally, we put them right down there. Oh, you can see that. So I'll leave it where we normally rack it. The first thing I suggest doing is sorting by suit in numerical order. For beginners, I find it just helps to get people used to what goes together. Because even though the cracks look crack-ish and the BAMs look BAM-ish, because there are different colors and slightly different patterns, it's easy to not recognize something as belonging to a suit. All right, so I have my hand organized here. And now I need to start to think about, where do I belong? Which of the 9 sections on the card? So the 9 sections collect very specific types of tiles. The one section is the 2020. That's the year. It collects mostly year stuff. Then there's the even section, 2, 4, 6, 8, like numbers, quints. You need jokers for that. I don't usually look at the quint section unless I have 3 or more jokers. Consecutives, those are in the orders. Odds, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. Winds and dragons, 3, 6, 9. Singles and pairs. So, as you can see from my hand, I've got some cracks, some BAMs, I've got 1 dot, I have a flower, a couple of winds, and yippee, 2 jokers. So, in every section, in practically every section, you could use a flower, you could use jokers, and you could use dragons. The only section where you might not need one of those is in the singles and pairs, because in the singles and pairs, you cannot use jokers. So the first thing I do is I pull all of my flowers, jokers, and dragons and just put them aside. And then I push all the rest over. And the reason why I put them aside is because they could potentially help me in any section. The flowers in all, dragons in all, and the jokers all but the singles and pairs section. Not that I'll necessarily use them, but because they potentially help me, I'm just going to sort of put them out of the consideration to help me find my direction. So now I just sort of go section by section and I see how many tiles do I have in the entire section, not counting flowers, jokers, and dragons. So the first section is the 2020 section. I potentially might need 2 souths in the 2020 section. I don't have anything else that might work in the 2020. I don't have any dragons, which I would take out and not be counting anyway. I don't have any soaps, and I don't have any 2s. So I only really have 2 tiles, not counting my flowers and jokers and dragons, that work in that section. I like to have about 5 tiles in a section to make that my core section. And as a beginner, I usually suggest that you pick and stick. You find a section and you stick with it like glue, because a lot of the job of a beginner, or a lot of our goal as a beginner, is trying to find the rhythm of the game and how to play it and other strategies. And if you jump all over the card, you're going to get lost in that. Okay, so now I'm going to push them all over. And again, I'm ignoring my flowers, jokers, and dragons, but I don't have any dragons. Oh well. And now I go to the evens. So I'm going to pull out all of my evens tiles. 9 and 8. And if you notice, I am ignoring suit, because suits develop. You're not going to get like a ton of everything in every hand. So at the moment, I'm ignoring suit. I'm just trying to find out, where do I have the most tiles in which section? Well, I only have 2 evens, so probably not my section. The next section is like numbers, so let's put all of our like numbers together. So the only one I really have like of are 7s, and I have 1 of each. That's not bad, but again, it's not really my core of 5 that I like to have. But I'll remember that. That's not terrible. Then the quints. I don't have 3 jokers, so I typically don't look at the quints. I look at the quints when I have more jokers, especially as an initial go. Consecutive run. Now I'm going to put all my tiles in numerical order. And again, I'm ignoring suit because I'm just looking for pattern, and I see, where do I have the gaps? Well, I've got this 1 by itself in a gap, 3, 4, and a gap, 7, 8, 9. So I have 3 numbers right in a row. And now if I put them by suit, so there's some potential there in consecutives using the numbers between probably 5 through 9. Now, I'm going to remember that because that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's a good core. So the consecutives using the numbers potentially 5 through 9 and specifically 7 through 9 is a good place for me to start. Now I'm going to look at the odds. Wow, I have a lot of odds. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 odds. And again, I'm reusing the 7s and the 9s. All right. I am missing that critical 5. That 5 is kind of a pivot one. Doesn't mean I won't get them. And Mahjong is frequently a numbers game. Where do you have the most? Go with where you have the most. Go with the flow, as it were. So at the moment, I really have the most in the odds. All right. Now, the wins. Well, really, I only have 2 wins. I'm not going to worry about that. 3, 6, 9. Let's look at that. I have a 3 and a 9. Well, that's not my section. And singles and pairs. I will probably not play singles and pairs because I already have 2 jokers. I generally don't go for the singles and pairs when I have jokers. So now I have a decision to make. I'm not going to be using the souths. I know that there are 2 that I'm not going to be using. So I'm going to turn those upside down, because when I don't want to use something, I turn it upside down visually. And I think that I had a lot of opportunity in the consecutives, 7, 8, 9. And it also fits in well with the 5, 7, 7, 9 opportunity, because the 1 and the 3 are kind of out there. So I'm going to definitely turn over the 4. I know I don't need that. And the 1 and the 3. I'll keep the flowers and the jokers. I'm going to now arrange what I've chosen. So I'm probably going to be playing either the 5, 7, 7, 9 or 7, 8, 9, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 in the consecutives, depending on where I get in the rest of the game. So I hope you enjoyed this, and talk to you later. Have a great day and enjoy your Mahjong.